from our MPPs and our mayor and all of our visiting ambassadors. I'd like to have Sylvia Jones come up first.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to join you here tonight and to see all of the fall ambassadors ready to go, give their speeches. Good luck. Congratulations. You know, fall fairs are a big part of our history here in Dufferin, Caledon. We have a number of them that started during Labor Day in Orangeville, and they go all the way through basically to Erin for Thanksgiving. And it speaks to how we can match our rural roots and our urban and new citizens. So I want to thank the Shelburne Fall Fair organizers and the board for all of the work that they've put together to make this weekend a success. It looks like Mother Nature is going to cooperate, which is a bonus for 2017, and have a wonderful Fall Fair weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. I call on David Tilson.
Not yet. Yeah, it's not nice.
I made it. It's always a challenge. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 150th Shelburne Fall Fair, which is quite remarkable. It's the same age as Canada. We're celebrating our sesquicentennial this year, and events are planned all across the country. And I see from the program, we're going to have something. We're going to have Wayne Townsend going to give a speech on what we've been doing for the last 150 years here. I'm sure he'll go through it year by year. Anyway, it's a great time to be here. The weather, as Sylvia said, the weather's great. We're getting great weather. I look at the pumpkins, I'm always amazed how people can grow these things. It's amazing. And they've already had their awards. So listen, I want to congratulate the Fair Board and the board for organizing this event. It's a tough thing to do. The ambassadors are going to be speaking later, I think. And I wish the ambassadors well on their speeches, and I'm sure they're going to be great. Have a great fair, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, David. I'm going to call on Mayor Ken Bennington.
I'm here. Good.
Greetings, everyone. On behalf of Town of Shelburne, on behalf of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Shelburne, I want to welcome you all to the 150th Shelburne Fall Fair, and I want to wish good luck to all competitors, contestants, and to the organizers. So enjoy the weekend. I wish you good weather and good luck.
Good evening, all. Larry Braden, president of the Shelburne Fair this year of 2017. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Speeches to me are a little hideous, but they should be like a woman's dress. You know, long enough to keep you entertained and short enough you don't lose your interest. But I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank David Tilson, Sylvia Jones for their speech today, and all the volunteers the past year. So many to remember, to name off. All their hard work to get this going this weekend. There's been a few changes. We got a tractor pull tomorrow. We did some modifications to the sheep pen on this week, so we got a bigger show area for the sheep and the dairy. So we're looking forward to any feedback. The changes were made to the sheep pens because Bill McCutcheon was saying that Mom needs a better spot to sit so she can see the sheep show better. So that was made. Being president of the Shelburne Fair Board is a great honor for me. I was brought up in the Shelburne community as a dairy farmer. Grew up in 1972. Dad had a dairy herd, or a Jersey herd of cattle. He had the best dairy herd in Dufferin County, 21 very goods and 7 excellents. Him and Mom moved on to the black and whites. That was a little bit harder to get very goods in the barn then. But we had one 2-year-old very good. It was kind of funny because Dad went to the stockyards and picked her up, and a year later she was the first Dufferin County 2-year-old that went very good for a Holstein. So growing up at dairy farm, we always seemed to have challenges ahead of us every day, which was awesome. And Mom sat me down the other day and she says, you know, she says, this is quite a thing that's going on with you. And she says, what's that? Well, it's called tradition. I said, what has tradition got to do with the fair, Mom? Well, she says, 49 years ago, your grandpa was the president of the Shelburne Fair Board, and he says, and today, you're there. I said, well, it happens. Hey, Earl, I can't read, I forgot my glasses.
I give you writing, but they work well.
Yeah, that works great.
Does that have to be good?
Bifocals, look down the bottom.
Yeah, that's good. Being the president is a great honor. I said I'm meeting so many new people in the county that I've never met before. It's lots of fun. Lots going on this weekend, and I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Please come out and support the Shelburne Fair. We have Kelsey Banks set up a junior farmer booth for fields and crops. She did an amazing job. They're over there. Please support your young farmers of Dufferin County. These are our future farmers. And have a good weekend and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
This is the biggest event of the year historically. They even were bigger, fall fairs were bigger than Orange Parades, if you can believe it, in Dufferin County. It was a place to meet new friends as people were moving in as settlers, and to greet old friends, because quite often you didn't see your neighbor for months at a time. Fall fairs have always been weather dependent. That will never change through history, even through the 150 years. Fall fairs were places where people were educated. Farmers were able to find out new methods of farming, new equipment, new kinds of seeds, and actually the women would exchange seeds. If they had a great pumpkin or a great turnip, they would trade their seeds to someone else. It was always a place where the politicians came out as well. Get close to this. All right. It was a place where politicians come out, so it's glad to have so many here tonight. They would meet and greet and do hands, and probably the biggest events were the UFOs when they started in this area, the United Farmers Organization. Over 5,000 people came out to hear one politician speak. It's the one place where all talents are equal, the Fall Fair. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you live in Melanchthon or Amrath, all the names are covered. Everyone can compete, and we find out who makes the best pie, who makes the best jam, and who still hand makes quilts. Things have changed. Change is inevitable. We used to have horse races here in Shelburne. The horse races would attract, again, sometimes up to 7,000 to 8,000 people for a horse race. Now we have demolition derbies and tractor pulls. The name of this fair has changed through the years. It started out as the Melanchthon Fair up in Melanchthon because Shelburne didn't exist 150 years ago. Then it changed to the Dufferin Central Fair, and it didn't change from the Dufferin Central Fair until 1966 when it became the Shelburne District Fair. So it's not really the Shelburne Fair, it's the Shelburne District Fair because Melanchthon had to be remembered. I want to thank Fran Braden for bringing in some books. Fran's a great source of history, and she has an old agricultural book from 1878. Your Agricultural Society in 1878 had $55.68 on hand. $48 went out for prizes for horses, sheep 41, cattle 22, ladies work 15.25, pigs 10.50, fine arts 5. It's nice to know if the ladies beat up the pigs in the fine arts. The first record I can find of the night, it was a newspaper article about the Fall Fair, was in 1905 when the school did a display. And it's interesting for me to see that the school displays are still very important. The school set up specimens of grain, straw, injurious insects, butterflies, noxious weeds, and mounted birds and animals, because back then in public school you always learned how to stuff a squirrel or stuff a rabbit. That was part of your curriculum. They made an arrangement on the lower shelf of these stuffed birds and animals, small fruits and curios. A bust of Queen Victoria stood in the corner, and that bust still stands at the Dufferin County Museum. At the other end of the shelf, there was 2 large cards holding grubs, lizards, fish, and insects mounted in small bottles of formaldehyde. On the walls were hung cabinets containing specimens of rock and minerals. A large and representative collection of roots, fruits, vegetables, and weed seeds completed the display. In 1915, things had changed dramatically because we had war here in Dufferin County. And in 1915, in September the 30th, they noted that William Webb, who came to Shelburne early in the summer to enlist for active service, came all the way from Camp Niagara, walked, and he came to the Fall Fair, after having several years of experience in India. He was in town for leave, and the most important thing he wanted to do was not to visit his parents, but to actually come to the Fall Fair. We find a lot of soldiers would come back, and one of the young gentlemen, Mr. Pickering from Hornings Mills, rode back from overseas, and he was on a ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It was the actual ship that rescued the people from the Titanic. And they were out there floating around, and he says, "Don't worry about me, I'm having a real good time and eating like a horse. How's everything in Shelburne? I think we'll be back in fall for the fair. I won't want to miss that." The war did not end for another 2 years. In 1920, they started having the field crop competition, and that caused a great amount of pain for some farmers because they had to get all the weeds out of their fence rows before the crop inspection, because not only did they inspect the crops, they inspected your fence and the noxious weeds that might exist as well. Things got a little bit better here by 1920. They had $1,873.35 in the bank. They got $264 from the concert. Tonight, your concert is free. The total receipts of the day were over $1,300, almost all of which went for prizes. In 1921, we read in an obituary of a Mr. William Ferris that he was one of the men who helped organize the first Dufferin Central Fair when it was still held by the Bennington Agricultural Society, and the fair itself was held in Masonville, not in Hornings Mills. It took a great interest in the fair as long as his health permitted, but unfortunately he missed the last fair. He died in the end of August, and the fair by that time had moved to the 1st of September. Hud Webster, 1926. He came to us from the Channel Islands, but Hud saw the first train come through Shelburne. And he was noted in his obituary of all things that he was closely associated with the interests of the community and attended the first Shelburne Fair 59 years ago and never missed one until his death. Who's been at the fair more than 50 years? Oh, there's a few. Yeah, there is a few of you out there. Thank you, Mr. Leach. I knew you were in the audience. The 1927, there was a huge controversy because they changed the date of the fair. They changed it from July into September because they wanted the kids to be able to show their work from their school programs. And the rural fairs were held in the end of June, and they wanted to make sure that the kids were able to show. And the kids exhibition ended up being one of the greatest prize money given out for school kids, often more than the ladies' work. The 1927 was the first anniversary of Confederation. We'd gone through our Jubilee, and they were giving out more prizes than ever, I'm heard, but it was quite a centennial. I hope this one isn't the same. Wednesday afternoon, the lightning nearly turned it into anything but a Jubilee year. For the northwest corner of the raised central part of the roof, the agricultural hall was struck and the building set on fire. Luckily, the men working on the Crombie open-air sawmill a short distance south of the fairgrounds on William Street noticed the crash of bolt and went to run out the fire. Promptly, it was put out, and without only a few minutes delay. However, it was impossible to save the outbuilding. Only because the Shelburne Fire Department at the time, it noted, had only one hose, although there were 7 men in action. 1930. Again, it changed a lot here because in 1930 the Shelburne Fair Board decided to invite the radio to the fall fair, and it was greatly well accepted. People came from as far away, I'm reading, from Reddickville and Dundalk to hear the radio. It had a powerful sound amplifier, and it was they had a small one that even could work in a car. Imagine that. 1937, how many of you showed this year at the fair and won prize money? Well, let's see how it works this year, because back in 1937, Dufferin Central Fair in Shelburne this year is only paying 60% of the prize money awarded at the annual fair. The cut in prize money is due to decreased attendance and finances at the gate the day of the fair. It rained. 1939, they had a talent show here in Shelburne. It added greatly. It was added on a Friday night. It was the first talent show they had. It was won by Arthur Curtis of Camilla, and he was awarded a prize of $8. Second prize went to Albert Jennings from Mansfield. Nobody from Shelburne was in the prize list. 1942, we're in a war again, but yet the fair, these boys are over in France in trenches, but yet they still cared about the fair. He said, the Rotary Club, who was the guy who wrote it? Sapper H.F. Bowes wrote, the Shelburne Rotary Club cigarettes are coming along fine and show up when most needed. Nearly every day I run into someone who comes from Shelburne or vicinity. Do you know, it's just like going to the Dufferin Central Fair. Every time you go out, all the old gang just seems to pop up. Oscar Cruson passed away in 1949, and I had to throw a Cruson in just in case Ed was in the audience. And his obituary actually stated that Mr. Cruson was an active gardener, and he had been awarded numerous prizes for exhibits at this year's fall fair before his demise. So I wonder if his wife inherited all that prize money. In 1968, I read about William John Clifford Noble, who went to his first fair at 2 years old, and his obituary noted, and he continued going to the Shelburne Fall Fair until his demise. In 1968, in the obituary of Eddie Lundy, it mentions that her talents in cooking, needlecraft, and sewing were frequently prize-winning entries at the Shelburne Fair. She took much pride in her lovely gardens and beautifully appointed home, and is a gracious hostess as well as a prize winner. Mr. Ewing in Shelburne also was a big prize winner. He showed Oxford sheep, shorthorn cattle, and Yorkshire swine. All of those breeds are almost missing in today's life. The fair still remains part of our everyday life. And I see somebody else in the audience. In 1966, as I mentioned, we went from the Dufferin Central Fair to the Shelburne District Fair, and Ron Clark was the president. So if you want to talk to him about that, he's over there. And maybe, was it controversial, Ron? Or did it go pretty smoothly? It was good, all right, good to hear. The fair has not changed. We still come here to make new friends. I've made a couple this year, and to greet old friends, and it's always good to give a hug. We learn new methods. The children's work is exemplary. We're still competitive. I still run out there to see who made the best peach pie and the best chili. Shelburne District Fall Fair has a strong history, and I believe it'll take us into the future because agriculture and rural fairs just simply rock. Thank you very much.